Today we are taking a closer look at a statement attributed to Intel Guru Frank 26 regarding Iraq's lower denomination banknotes and the possibility of an exchange rate change. The statement says that the lower denominations have not yet been released and suggests that, in his opinion, the combination of new lower denominations and a new exchange rate could be coming exceptionally soon. For Iraqi Dinar followers, this is certainly an interesting claim, but it is important to separate what is being speculated from what has actually been confirmed by Iraq's monetary authorities. The first part of the statement focuses on lower denominations. In any currency reform or redenomination process, smaller denominations can become important because the usefulness of a currency depends heavily on how well its available notes and coins match the prices people actually pay. If the purchasing power of a currency changes significantly, existing denominations may no longer be convenient for everyday transactions. That is one reason why discussions about lower denominations frequently appear alongside discussions about currency reform. However, the existence of a discussion about lower denominations does not automatically prove that a major exchange rate change is about to happen. A central bank can introduce new denominations for a number of reasons, including improving cash circulation, replacing worn notes, modernizing the currency structure, preparing for future monetary changes, or making transactions more practical. Therefore, lower denominations by themselves should not be treated as confirmation of a revaluation. This distinction is especially important for Iraqi Dinar followers because online currency discussions often connect separate developments and interpret them as one coordinated event. A rumor about new banknotes can quickly become a claim about a new exchange rate, and a discussion about monetary reform can then be presented as proof that a particular rate is imminent. Financial analysis requires a more cautious approach. These developments can be related, but they are not automatically the same thing. The second part of the statement is the suggestion that a new exchange rate could arrive exceptionally soon. This is where the greatest uncertainty exists. An exchange rate adjustment is ultimately a policy decision. In Iraq, the Central Bank of Iraq plays the central role in monetary and exchange rate policy, and an actual change to the official exchange rate regime would require an authoritative announcement rather than commentary from an outside source. For viewers following the Iraqi Dinar, the most important question is therefore not simply whether someone believes a rate change is coming. The more important question is whether the Central Bank of Iraq, the Iraqi government, or another recognized official institution has publicly confirmed a specific policy change. Until that happens, claims about timing or a particular future exchange rate should be treated as speculation rather than established financial news. That does not mean the broader subject of currency reform is irrelevant. Iraq has been working through major economic and financial reforms for years. Banking sector modernization, stronger compliance systems, digital payments, financial transparency, government revenue management, and integration with international financial standards can all influence the environment in which the Iraqi dinar operates. These developments matter because a currency is supported not only by the number printed on a banknote, but by the strength and credibility of the financial system behind it. This is also why lower denominations deserve attention from an analytical perspective. If Iraq were ever to make a substantial change in the purchasing power or structure of the dinar, the practical handling of prices, wages, accounting systems, banking transactions, ATMs, cash registers, contracts, and consumer payments would all have to be considered. A successful currency transition requires preparation across the economy, not simply the printing of different banknotes. There is another important issue that viewers should keep in mind: the difference between redenomination and revaluation. These two concepts are often used interchangeably online, but economically they can mean very different things. A redenomination changes the numerical units of a currency, potentially removing zeros from denominations while maintaining the underlying economic value through a corresponding conversion. A revaluation, by contrast, changes the exchange value of the currency against other currencies. If Iraq were to remove zeros from its currency, that would not automatically mean that every dinar suddenly became dramatically more valuable against the US dollar. The implementation would depend on the exact policy design. Prices, bank balances, salaries, contracts, accounting records, and cash denominations would need to be converted according to official rules. This is why the statement that lower denominations and a new exchange rate are coming together should be viewed as a possibility being discussed, rather than as confirmation that both events are already scheduled. The timing is the critical missing piece. Without an official announcement, nobody outside the responsible institutions can reliably establish exactly when such a policy would occur. In the short term, the statement may increase attention among dinar followers, particularly those who have been monitoring currency reform for years. But increased attention should not be confused with confirmation. A responsible viewer should look for concrete evidence, such as an official central bank announcement, published monetary instructions, a formal currency notice, or clearly documented changes to the exchange rate framework. If lower denominations were officially announced, the next question would be how they are intended to function. Would they replace existing notes? Would they circulate alongside current denominations? Would they be connected to a redenomination program? Would they simply address the need for smaller transaction values? Those details would matter far more than the existence of a rumor. The same principle applies to a potential exchange rate adjustment. A credible analysis would examine the announced rate, the effective date, the exchange mechanism, the treatment of existing banknotes, the role of commercial banks, and the broader monetary policy framework. Simply hearing that a new rate is coming does not tell us what the new rate would be or how the transition would work. There is also an important economic consideration involving inflation and purchasing power. If policymakers change the exchange rate significantly, they would need to consider the effect on imports, exports, government finances, domestic prices, foreign currency demand, and confidence in the banking system. A stronger nominal exchange rate can reduce the local currency cost of imports, but exchange rate policy also has consequences for exporters, fiscal revenues, monetary conditions, and competitiveness. For Iraq, oil revenues make this discussion particularly significant. The country's external financial position is closely connected to oil exports and global energy prices. Because foreign currency earnings and government spending are important components of the economy, exchange rate policy has implications beyond currency traders or individual dinar holders. It affects businesses, consumers, banks, and government institutions. Over the longer term, the most meaningful development would therefore be continued strengthening of Iraq's financial infrastructure. If Iraqi banks become more efficient, transparent, internationally connected, and trusted by consumers, that could provide a stronger foundation for monetary stability. Improvements in electronic payments and reduced dependence on physical cash could also make the financial system more resilient and easier to monitor for ordinary dinar holders. The practical lesson is straightforward. Do not make financial decisions based solely on a commentator's prediction that lower denominations and a new rate are coming soon. Instead, monitor official Iraqi sources and credible financial reporting. If an actual currency change is announced, there will be specific information about the policies, implementation, conversion procedures, and effective dates. It is also worth remembering that the phrase "coming soon" has no precise financial meaning. It could refer to days, weeks, months, or simply an expectation. Unless an official institution provides a date, the timing remains uncertain. This is particularly important when a statement involves a potentially major exchange rate change, because markets and consumers need verified information rather than assumptions. So what should Iraqi dinar followers take away from this latest statement? The discussion about lower denominations is economically relevant because denominations must ultimately correspond with the practical purchasing power and transaction needs of a currency. The suggestion that lower denominations could appear alongside a new exchange rate is a scenario worth watching, but at this stage it should not be presented as a confirmed event. The strongest signal would be an official announcement from Iraq's monetary authorities. Until that happens, the responsible position is to remain attentive but cautious. Watch for concrete documentation, not simply repeated claims across social media, podcasts, or online currency communities. If Iraq does eventually announce changes involving denominations or the exchange rate framework, the details will matter enormously. The rate itself would only be one part of the story. The implementation process, banking procedures, treatment of existing currency, pricing adjustments, and broader economic conditions would determine how meaningful the change actually becomes. For now, the statement attributed to Frank 26 should be understood as an opinion and expectation rather than official confirmation. There is a legitimate economic reason to monitor developments surrounding Iraq's currency structure, But there is not enough information in this statement alone to establish a specific timetable or guaranteed exchange rate outcome. As always, keep your focus on verified information, official announcements, and the underlying economic fundamentals. Currency markets can change for many reasons, and no individual commentator can guarantee what a central bank will do or when it will do it. Staying informed means understanding both the potential opportunities and the uncertainties. Thank you for watching Iraqi Dinar News. If you want responsible, factual, and balanced updates on the Iraqi dinar, Iraq's economy, and important monetary developments, make sure to subscribe to the channel and like this video. We will continue to follow official developments and bring you the information as it becomes available. This content is provided for informational purposes only and is not financial advice.